Hi, welcome to the Happiness Project. I am here with Monsignor Mayo, who is the head abbot, I guess is that
pastor
right?
of the Cathedral.
The pastor of the Cathedral of Madeleine, which is arguably the most beautiful architectural structure in the Salt Lake Valley. And I'm just blown away by being here with this. But so many people turn to religion as a source of happiness that I thought I would go to the experts on this and ask people who are wiser than me the answers. And so that's why Father Mayo so graciously offered to be here with us. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, how has Catholicism brought happiness into your life, or how has this changed you?
Well, I was born into Catholicism, and so it was already kind of a known quantity in my own life. But later on, as I had the benefit, really, of a great amount of education in the scriptures, philosophy, theology, etc., I think I earned or learned a better appreciation of what it was in terms of the meaning of the scriptures and their ability to influence my own life. And so also to know a lot about church history, some 2,000 plus years of church tradition, and how that has played a great role in really developing Western civilization and many of the things that we do today. And so Catholicism is indeed a part of my life, and I use it. I suppose the distinction is always the institution versus the practice of the religion, because the institution, you can go off in all kinds of different directions, but in terms of our background, the rich history of theology that we have, I think it's just a wonderful gift for all of us.
Well, I think dividing the institution, that is kind of across all religions. They all do that. But you mentioned scriptures turning to that. Is there one in particular that you would recommend? Or?
Well, I think in our tradition, of course, we consider both the New Testament and the Old Testament. And, of course, the search for God's plan of salvation for us begins in the early beginnings of the Old Testament. The Jewish religion would call it the Pentateuch, and the early scriptures that were so important to them in terms of their journey of salvation, and how in the writing of the scriptures, in the Psalms, the Proverbs, what have you, there was great richness there to give people not only life but great hope in waiting for the Messiah, of course, and the fulfillment of that for us is the person of Jesus Christ. And so, despite all of the maladies and the imperfections of life as they write about them, there is always that other higher level, which is a level of hope and promise for all that is and all that will be in their lives.
I was a soldier in the Gulf War, and I remember a lot of the Marines had like a little Marine Bible that had all the Psalms in them and stuff, and they would constantly go to that. So yeah, I do know that is a tremendous source of inspiration. If you don't mind me asking, there is kind of this negative connotation with Catholicism, though, like it's all about penance and just like okay, the Passion of Christ, is not really the feel-good movie of that summer when that came out, and so, but on the other hand, people turn to Jesus every day for inspiration and stuff. So what would you say about that?
Well, certainly you can always emphasize the things that perhaps bring negativity or moments of darkness in people's lives, but actually with faith and an understanding of faith and a practice of faith comes a certain amount of hope and promise for a better life. I can still remember during the dark days of 9/11, and the very first thing that people did during that day, which was a national disaster, is that the church was automatically full of people. People came to a place, a sacred place, to pray, to perhaps the Catholic God or perhaps to another God, who knows. But they needed to find themselves in a place, a known place such as this cathedral downtown, where they could come and simply offer whatever it is they had to offer in prayer. And certainly there's nothing negative about that. The church always is there for the wellness of people. And so These other things that happen as the sidelines, of course, are people's own understanding of what they pull from the media or books or whatever, Dan Brown models, as they portray the church. That's all, that's not reality. And the reality is that, we do find our pathways, each of us finds our own pathways to God, and we need to sit in prayer and acknowledge that, which we do, and which they did, of course, on that particular day.
That's great. That's a fantastic answer. Well, is there anything else you'd maybe like to add about happiness, like how...
Well, happiness does exist. It's not something that's not obtainable in life. I think that there are many ways in which we know what happiness is not. It's certainly not the possession of many material things or 1,000 close friends, but by certainly, as a famous quote was, lose yourself in something greater than yourself. That is one of the ways to gain happiness. And as we dwell on coming out of ourselves, becoming other-centered instead of self-centered, we find our happiness in life.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much, Father Mayo, for being here.
Right.
Again, this is the Happiness Project. Come down and see the Cathedral of Madeleine. It is just an amazing, amazing facility.
Open all day, by the way.
Open all day, and pop in and hear a sermon. You might be surprised at what you'll get out of it. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time.